Welcome, welcome, welcome. This is Chris Moore with Senior Remodeling Experts. And as promised, we are launching our video series on aging in place is a team sport. We talked a little bit about that and what that means. And so today we are privileged to welcome April Jones with Life Care Coordinators. And I think it's great that we are kicking off this series with Life Care Coordinators. April's going to tell us a little more about what she does and how she brings different players to the table and is a great participant in the team sport of aging in place.
Awesome. Thanks, Chris, for having me today.
You're welcome.
I appreciate it.
Thank you for being
and
here.
Kicking it off with me.
Yeah, so start out by just kind of explaining to us, what is a Life Care Coordinator and what do you do?
Yeah, I started my business going on 2 years now, and I started it because I find that people need resources. They get into the aging process and they don't know what direction to turn to. Life Care Coordinator is somebody that I call myself a rent-a-daughter with healthcare experience. In a minute, we'll talk about how Life Care Coordinators can be the team coach.
Okay.
And so we help do a needs assessment. And as you guys go in and remodel, you have to go through the house and kind of assess where the safety issues are and what we need to work on to repair. Well, we do that for the entire aging process. So we look at not only your medical diagnoses, but also your financials. And then say, okay, well, this amount of money you were probably going to be in the realm of needing some other supports down the road. And what does that look like? And then we look at what team members we can bring on board with the financials that we have and where we are with everything. So making a plan is the best idea.
Yeah. Well, one of the things I've seen a lot, April, is that people get blindsided. People are just going along day by day, living their life, not really thinking about anything. And then all of a sudden there's a traumatic life event of one kind or another. And suddenly people are caregivers and suddenly they are trying to figure out, what questions do I ask? Who do I ask? Who can I trust? Where do I start? It's very overwhelming, and people are really don't know where to begin because they have not done really any planning. There's been no thought up until the traumatic event happened that maybe we might need to make some arrangements for some eventualities.
Absolutely. And people don't want to think about getting old.
No.
I get it. It's, and they don't want to think about a chronic disease of some kind and what if and when. But once we get that diagnosis, that's when the plan needs to happen. Because there's a lot that we can talk about and there's a lot that we can plan for related to that diagnosis, because we're getting pretty smart in medicine these days to know how things are going to go with a diagnosis. Often I do a lot of work. I'm a certified dementia practitioner, which means that I stage a lot of people to say, hey, you're in this stage and this is what's coming. And that's a lot of what we do to help people plan. We've just gotten the diagnosis. Here's what it's going to look like in 5. Here's what it's going to look like in 10. And so let's look at what our finances are going to yield for us, or how we're going to take care of ourselves during that time.
Yeah, that reminds me of a saying I heard that says, if you've met one person with dementia, you've met one person with dementia.
Yes.
And I think that just brings to bear that everybody's situation is different.
Absolutely.
Everybody deals with different set of circumstances, not just in terms of their diagnosis or their health, but also in terms of their dynamics, in terms of their financial situation, in terms of their emotional situation. All of those factors play a huge role in how do we negotiate life, how do we make the best decisions.
Absolutely.
And how does your team and how does your approach help people to kind of sort through all those different scenarios or factors?
Absolutely. And it is a team sport. It takes a village, I say, because there are a lot of different roles and there's a lot of different role reversal during the aging process. We may be daughter, son, all of those things, but then we turn around and we're having to take care of mom's finances, mom's care, all of those things. And so we need other team members to be able to provide some of those things so that we can continue to remain son and daughter and really enjoy the time that we have with
Yeah.
each other.
Yeah, because that role reversal can really lead to a lot of resentment and a lot of
Definitely.
misunderstanding, and on both sides. Parent feels like, I'm the parent here, I'm in charge, I changed your diapers, you little whippersnapper.
Yes, who are you
And
to take my
who are
driver's
you-
license
right, who
or take my independence away?
And I've also seen where there's 3 siblings and they all have different agendas.
Absolutely.
And so you're brought in as a provider, and who's the real customer, and how do you negotiate these different points of view in a way that brings value to the situation?
Yeah, so I sit in the middle. I talk to the person that's aging to say, okay, what do you want this to look like? What were your thoughts of getting older? Where do you want to be to receive your care? Do you want to go to the assisted living? Do you want to stay at home? Look at all the possibilities and then kind of be that mediator between the family and the person receiving the care and try to put together this team. And what does that look like? And what kinds of things, where are our holes in care, so to speak? Because there's a lot of cracks in our healthcare system, unfortunately. But with a good team approach as a team sport, it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. So do you have a process for vetting providers? Let's say that you discover one of these holes. Let's say maybe it's transportation as an example, and you have people who it's no longer safe for them to drive, but they need transportation to the grocery store, to the doctor's appointments, to what have you. And so where do you turn? And then you find somebody who provides that service. Do you have a process where you kind of
Absolutely.
make sure they're trustworthy before you refer them to your
Yes, a
clients?
lot of the time I will be there to make sure that they get that particular service started well. You know, I reach out to the service, ask all the questions that I know to ask, or I can also give a list of questions to a caregiver, a team member in that care team, to say, these are the questions that you want to ask. Is it covered with insurance? Is it not? I know all the ins and the outs of that. So I try to get them going with some good providers. And keeping a list of good providers is also something that I have lots of clients go in lots of different directions.
Sure.
So I keep a good list of anything from mowing the grass to transport to medications, life alert system, all of those things. So that way it's easy for a caregiver to be able to jump into and put members on the team
Right.
pretty easily.
So it sounds like you have a lot of flexibility in the services you offer. If people want you to kind of come in and take over the reins and handle everything, you're able to do that.
Oh, yes, absolutely. I tell people, they're on a journey, right? This is a journey. First of all, don't know what they need.
Right.
And so we start with the needs assessment. From the very first meeting, I am already starting a needs assessment to say, okay, these are some holes that I already see, feedback from this doctor or that doctor. And I actually go with them to the doctor to say, okay, there's some questions about plan of care and where we're headed and what things we need. So putting the doctor in this team is really an important piece of aging and having a good healthcare provider. Sometimes we have to look for that solution too.
I remember when my father was living, and I would go to his doctor's appointments with him. And I had always kind of assumed that the primary care physician was keeping up with all the specialists and what they were recommending and kind of putting it all together in a package.
Right.
And I was shocked to find out that no, that was not the case. It was kind of on the patient to
keep up
with, okay, well, my cardiologist is saying this and my pulmonologist is saying that and this doctor is saying this thing, and maybe there's interactions that we need to be concerned about. And sometimes it's the pharmacist that's catching those drug interactions, and sometimes it's nobody. It's up to the patient. And then when you have an older adult that maybe is struggling with dementia or just struggling with being overwhelmed.
Yes, overwhelmed.
And,
situation.
it's real easy to drop the ball, and then side effects of medications and balance issues, and then there's a fall, and, it can be a real slippery slope.
Absolutely. It's a lot to keep up with.
Yeah.
And knowing the right questions to ask, I think, is often what I bring to the table. With the specialists, the care coordinators that I have, we have over 50 years of experience. So we've experienced all levels of care, gone into multiple doctors' offices. We probably already know a good portion of the doctors in the Valley. And so we know to say, okay, think about this and ask them about, this, and have them be looking at the overall picture of how all these things work together.
Mm-hmm.
And also talking about plans of care, because it's really important to look at, do we do this treatment? Do we have this therapy? What does that mean? And how is that going to impact our overall health if we don't, or if we do? And kind of talk and being that third party
Right.
to kind of talk through that
Yeah.
to get our choices met before we kind of know what they are and things like that too.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And I mean, there's so many factors. We're talking about doctors, but there's diet and there's exercise and there's frame of mind, and all of those things are so critical to health.
Yes.
And one of the things that I've been spent a lot of time thinking about is how much of the decline that we see with age is mandatory.
Yes.
How much of it is because that's kind of what we expect. We expect at a certain age we're going to have, we're going to be on a bunch of medications, and we're going to, not get around as well as we used to. But then you see people that are at very advanced ages and they're still quite active, and their eyes are bright and they're full of vigor. And it's like,
What's the difference?
What's the difference?
Yeah.
And there's so many factors. Some of it's genetics, obviously, and
Right.
but a lot of it, I think, is lifestyle, and I think is particularly attitude.
Yes.
Having a grateful heart and being thankful for the things that you have is such a
Well, I say
is
often
so
that's
important.
sometimes the best medicine.
Absolutely.
Also say it's not just the healthcare piece, it's the socialization piece. It's being able to continue to remain as independent as you'd like to with all things, not just your health, not just with driving, but also going to church, being able to go to that men's group that you get filled, your emotions get filled
Right,
up
right,
again, or
right.
your cup gets full again.
Yeah. Because we talk about aging in place as, staying in the home that you love. And certainly all the polls show that that's what most people want to do. They don't like the idea of going to a nursing home, assisted living, or senior facility for the most part. There are people who are very social and love the idea of, all the activities and everything that's planned.
Right.
But when you're at home, it's kind of your responsibility to
Yes.
all those pieces that would be done, coordinated and provided at a senior living facility of one kind or another. So as a person who chooses to age in place, you have to think about all those things. Is your home accessible? Do you have the way to get to healthcare? Is transportation been taken care of? Maintenance of your home, safety, socialization, all of those things is part
Activities,
of
transportation.
is part of the whole package.
Yes.
And that's why it's a team sport, because different people do all those different pieces. And I think the more that we can let people know what services are available, and that's one of the reasons why I'm doing this channel, is just to get the word out that there are people who are trustworthy and who have your best interests at heart and are there to serve you and help you make the rest of your life the best of your life.
Absolutely.
And have a full and fulfilling life at any age.
Yes.
And you don't have to settle for decline and loneliness and being sad.
Yes, you're exactly right. And there's a lot of loss associated with the aging process.
Yeah.
And it's all in how you overcome that, right? It's all in, there's lots of grieving. It's not just it's loss of independence all the time. It's loss of this thing or that thing, but it can be overcome,
right?
With the right mindset. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I sat by a very wise caregiver at a Alzheimer's conference a couple of weeks ago, and she said, "I am the captain of our ship," because she was caregiving for her husband that had Alzheimer's, and she said, "I am the captain. So when somebody asks me, what can I do for you? How can I help you?" She always had something in mind that could, even if it was just to say, come by and visit on this day, bring a meal, take him to this, or whatever it is. She always had, she was the captain of the ship.
Right.
And so you really, like, it is a team sport, 100%.
Yeah.
And it's going to be your neighbors, your church members, your caregivers that you're hiring, your friends, your family. It's going to take, you know, that type of team to get through.
And just that asking for help is a skill that can be learned.
Absolutely.
It's very difficult for a lot of people, especially people who have done for themselves all their lives. It's very difficult to ask for help. And when people say, what can I do for you? Then you have to come up with the idea. And you're already overwhelmed and you're like, oh, you know, I don't know. If you're in that position of wanting to help somebody, maybe suggest, let me bring you a meal on Tuesday.
Yes.
Let me come by and mow your grass for you.
And that's what she said. She said, you know, mowing the grass wasn't important to me.
Yeah.
And so I would just say, hey, you want to mow your grass?
Sure.
I mean,
yeah.
I think by all means, people would much rather help you the way you needed to be helped.
Right.
And so being that team captain or that team coach is, you really have to do that. And when you get to the point where we have chronic conditions and things like that.
Right.
So I can also help with that from a perspective of discussing what needs are, right? So saying, okay, you don't love to cook and that's okay. And so, you know, ask people for that. Ask people for meals. Same for, you know, a senior who might be living alone that doesn't have a caregiver in the situation. You don't like to do this. You don't like to do this. So ask people to come visit you during mealtime and things like that. And really looking at where the needs are.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think we help them tackle the team. So members of the team, again, we went over that, but medical professionals, home care providers, and I think there's always so many questions about what levels of care and what Medicare provides and all of that stuff. All those providers can certainly be a part when the time is right. So having all those different
So describe for me someone in a scenario that would benefit the most from your services. Who's the person that might be watching this video who might say, wow, I could use that?
Yeah, so it's going to be that person that's just received the diagnosis.
Okay.
Whether it's son or daughter who's concerned and doesn't know where to start, or it's the actual client to say, I have great family, but I don't know how to get started. I don't know what to plan for. And so it's just really sitting down and saying, okay, where are we in the disease processes and what are our needs? And then talking to family, you know, kind of putting together that team for them to say, you know, you're going to need this person to do that and things like that. Yeah. So, you know, it's somebody who's really started the aging process and has some chronic diseases, because we don't know what to plan for without that part.
Yeah.
So
very good. So how can people get a hold of you if they...
So the best way to get a hold of me is always to give me a call. I do have a website that you can go find me, lifecarecoordinators.com, or just giving me a call. And you always know where to find me.
Yeah.
So we always work together as great referral sources for each other and have a great network together to help find each other as well.
Yeah. So tell folks your phone number.
So my phone number is 540-354-3589, and that's the best way to get us.
All right. Well, thank you, April.
Thanks, Chris. I appreciate the time.
Yeah, absolutely. And we will be back with more Aging in Place as a team sport as we talk to other providers. So if you like this type of video, please like in the comments below. Let us know what you thought of the content and what other providers you might like to see coming up on this channel. So thanks very much for watching, and we will talk to you on the next video.